Hey, what's up, guys? This is week 18 on Men's Room F to M, and I just wanted to take a second to introduce myself before going into this week's topic. My name is TJ. I'm one of the new members of Men's Room F to M, and I just wanted to thank the guys for letting me join in this conversation, in this collab channel. Really excited to talk to folks and get some feedback on some of the stuff that we talk about here. But on to this week's topic. This week it's rude questions. I'm just going to read you all some of the questions right now. What kind of bizarre or rude questions have you been asked by strangers, acquaintances, or friends in regards to your body, sexuality, or gender? How'd you answer them? And what advice can you give other trans guys for dealing with these questions? It's kind of funny that this is this week's question, actually, because a friend of mine sent me, well, a couple of friends did actually, sent me a link to this photo piece that someone did a couple of years ago that I took part in, and just got released. And some folks found it online, found my picture in it, and sent it to me. And it's kind of centered around this whole piece about rude questions, or questions that people only ask trans people, wouldn't even think about asking other folks. And so I'm going to post a link to that on the side so folks can check it out too. It was really, really cool to be a part of that. So kudos to the photographer for putting the project together and doing it. Definitely, like any other trans person, genderqueer person, gender non-conforming person around, I've had my fair share of rude, obnoxious questions. In the beginning, as I was coming out, I really took those to be opportunities to educate, just to put it nicely, I guess. And didn't mind them, but at the same time didn't know how to answer them, because so many of those questions I hadn't answered for myself yet, and so I didn't know how to give out things to other people that I hadn't let myself in on yet. When I was an undergrad, I went to Michigan State, and I was really, really involved with a lot of the queer organizations there. So when I was coming out as trans male, I was already involved in what's called the panel program, and this is basically folks who are interested in going into classrooms or student organizations, going to events and workshops, and being a panel for folks to ask questions to. And oftentimes I'd find myself being the trans voice on that panel, obviously, in addition to being a queer person of color, and all kinds of other identities. So that was really my mentality, was that we were doing this great, amazing thing, going in and educating people, and all of this stuff. The more I think about it, the more I progressed in my coming out and my own identity development and identity assurance, especially. I've come to realize that while those programs definitely have a lot of benefit to them, I think they also have a lot of harm. The harm mainly being in that we are perpetuating this othering of identity that happens, that we don't question identities we consider to be the norm and normal. We question identities we don't consider to be the norm and normal. So we have panels on race, and it's all about people of color. There aren't white people there talking about what their race means. What does white culture mean? We have panels on sexuality, and it's all queer people. And, no one is asking questions of a straight person as to why they're straight. All those typical questions that queer people have to deal with, and same around transness. And no one's asking a cisgender person what makes them think that their body matches who they're supposed to be, or any of the other myriad questions that we get asked. So I guess, again, I think there's benefit to those panel programs, both obviously to the audience. There's a huge ton of benefit if they're only open to hearing other perspectives, but also in some part to the panelists themselves. I think I got a lot out of it in that time, because those questions allowed me an opportunity to do some self-reflection and then to figure some stuff out for myself. But I think we do really need to start shifting the paradigm on those types of programs and events, and make it really be about all, and include cisgender and white and straight and able-bodied and all these voices that are considered the norm. Include them in these conversations in a way that are questioned, and folks really start stepping away from othering. But if you go to that photography project, I've actually been asked pretty much everything on there. The one I was holding was, I thought was probably one of the most ridiculous ones I'd ever been asked, was which one's harder, F to M surgery or M to F surgery. Like, any person could actually answer that. I mean, I guess hypothetically it is possible for someone to go through both sets of procedure, but the likelihood of that having ever happened or happening, somebody would have to go through both sets of procedures to really be able to answer that, to be able to say, I think this one was harder, or I think this one was harder. I don't know how I was supposed to provide that perspective, having not gone through any surgeries at that point in my life. This person asking me knew that, and obviously not going to be going into the other piece either. And yeah, it blew my mind that this person even thought that was a valid question to ask, that I could provide any sort of insight into. I really just, at that point, looked at them blankly and made a joke out of it, because that's usually my defense system, is to use humor and deflect when I get stupid questions. Other questions are typically around partners. Who do you date, and how do the people that you date identify, and all of this stuff. And most often people assume I date women exclusively, which I do date women predominantly, but I don't date women exclusively. I identify as pansexual, but most people wouldn't think to even question what my sexuality is. The assumption is, since I'm transitioning to a male body, that obviously I'm straight and into women, because otherwise why would I transition, right? And again, it's one of those questions when people ask me about my partner's identity, or my potential partner's identities. It's one of those questions where I throw back, why would I know that? And why would you be asking me that and not my partner or a potential partner? Their identity is theirs. It's not mine. It's not dependent on me. I don't make them who they are. I might inform their experience. I might inform something about their identity in some certain ways, but that's pretty much the extent of it. So most of the time, I think the root questions, this quote-unquote stupid questions, have really been things that I can't answer for people. And at one point in my life, I would try, because I thought that was my job, was to try to answer these questions. And I realized that it's not my job to answer these questions. I have no responsibility, inherent responsibility to answer these questions for anyone other than myself, and maybe other trans folk, so that we can dialogue and we can conversate and we can understand what's going on for us, not the rest of the world. So I guess if I were to give advice to folks dealing with these questions, it's try throwing them back to the people asking them. Say why do you need to know that, or what difference does the answer to that question make for you? Because while some of those questions might be asked with the best of intentions, the problem is that their impact does not match their intention. their impact is really to make you an other, to make you not normal, and to give you this responsibility that isn't your responsibility.